Mrs. Williams-Bey in the afternoon. DJ Dre on the ones and twos. Faith and family is what we gonna do. Yeah. Mrs. Williams-Bey in the afternoon. DJ Dre on the ones and twos. Faith and family is what we gonna do. Yeah.
Welcome to the Mrs. Williams-Bey Radio Show, and I'm your host, Cynthia Williams-Bey, and it's time to embrace and be restored so you can spring forward into your purpose. Now let's get ready. Hello, everyone, and welcome back to the Williams-Bey Radio Show. It is time to embrace and be restored so you can spring forth into your purpose. I am your lovely host, Mrs. Cynthia Williams-Bey, and I am here with my lovely guest host, Miss Kristen Colbreath. Hey, Chris.
Hey, sister-in-law, how are you? Thank you for having me back.
Yes, thank you for coming back. And thank you to all the listeners. Shout out to everybody that's tuned in live on our Facebook page. Thank you to everyone that's tuned in and streaming us live on the radio, on Alexa. And look, before we go any further, please make sure that you subscribe to our YouTube channel. We have a YouTube channel now for the Williams-Bey Radio Show. So please make sure that you subscribe, make sure you like, and make sure you share this episode. You hear me? Make sure you do that. And when you subscribe, you will get an alert every time we have a new episode that releases. Thank you guys so much. So how you doing on this Friday, Chris?
Doing pretty well. Ready to, give the people what they need. Talk about subjects, hopefully encourage the people out there and help them out with what they're going through.
Yes. So listen, we know how a lot of the times the things that we go through sometimes is represented by somebody else's trial, somebody else's tribulation, somebody else's, mistake, success. We learn from each other, right? So today I wanted us to talk about like current events, like what's actually happening right now. In the news, there's a lot that's happening between Bill Cosby, Sha'Carri Richardson. It's a lot that's happening, guys. So we want to talk about it. Y'all okay with that? Okay. So, wow. Man, this is a lot.
Breathe about it.
Yes, this is a lot.
Yeah.
That this young lady, Sha'Carri Richardson, what she's going through. So for those of you that are tuned in and you're not familiar with the story, Sha'Carri Richardson is a young lady. I don't even think she's 22 yet. Like, I think she's like 21. She just turned 21 year old.
Early 20.
Yeah. Yes. But she is amazing. I mean, like, she is amazing. She just made the Olympics. I mean, she is killing the game, right? Mm-hmm. And she's all over the headlines because she just failed a drug test. It's mandatory when you're competing in any type of sport that you get tested, periodically and things like that. You get random drug tests because, of course, you can't use steroids and any types of substances and things like that. So she tested positive for marijuana. So everyone is upset right now. And everyone is upset because of the fact that you have this African-American girl who has earned her place. She has earned her place in this sport. I mean, she's overcome some obstacles, some trials, like even while she was competing, like this young lady lost her mother. Us as adults, we don't even know how to carry on and how to function and deal with stuff, even as adults. If we lose a parent, if we lose a relative, if we even lose a job, we don't know how to cope with things. So this young lady has went through some unideal situations, and everyone is upset because of the fact that she's going to miss her opportunity to compete in the Olympics because she's on a 30-day suspension. Mm-hmm. And there's a lot of talk in regards to the double standard when it comes to us as women in general. And when you top off the fact that we're African American, it's kind of like a double whammy. So we want to talk about it a little bit. We want to talk about it. You ready, Chris?
I'm ready.
Yeah. So let's talk about it. Yeah. How you feel about everything, Chris?
Oh my gosh. I'm hating it for her. I'm hating it for her to be so young and to have loss and then be at this, this elevation, and all this comes crashing down in so many ways. But I'm praying this is just, something that will help her to handle her emotions or handle things differently in the future. I hate that things are not equal, and we have to realize that oftentimes these things are not handled as justly as they should. But thinking about how is her mental health right now, how is she handling her emotions, and she is such a great athlete. She is such a talented person. We don't want her to have anything hold her back. I think that's why so many people, on top of the way things are handled normally, I think so many people are upset that she could possibly ruin her chances at being so amazing, because you don't want to see anybody be held back by something that could be avoided,
Yeah. And I have to say, for me, it's disturbing for me the fact that this young lady lost her mom, was dealing with so much, and she had to do what she felt she needed to relieve the stress, to relieve the pain, to relieve the hurt, right? We don't know her story. I don't know her story outside of what I've just recently saw in regards to, her dealing with the loss of her mother. I don't know what her childhood was like. I don't know what she was exposed to, what type of traumatic experience she's had. None of us really know unless she opens up and it says that. She may have, I just have not come across it. But what's disturbing for me is the lack of accountability that the Olympics takes when it comes to their athletes. Because if this young lady was dealing with that amount of grief and issues, where was the support for her to know that she did not have to rely on marijuana and substances to release her pain? Like, where was the intervention? And where was the counselors? Or where was anyone in that organization that will come to their athlete and say, hey, you are dealing with this, but we need you to stay focused. We need you to not give up. We need you to know that you are strong, you're going to make it. And here is a counseling session you could go to. We're going to support you by way of paying for some type of therapy, right? And the fact that she had to turn to that, for me, from the outside, right, I'm thinking they didn't offer this to her. Because for me, if I'm hurting and I'm going through something and someone comes to me and they show me another way, I'm going to take that other way, right? So that's an issue for me, because I feel like even here in the media, you have just regular people. Some people are in support, and then you have a group of individuals that are, oh, well, why did she do this? She shouldn't have did that. She know better and all this stuff. But my question is, where was the community? Where was the tribe? where were we as a people to surround this young lady to keep her from taking that step?
Mm-hmm.
You know, where she felt like she had to do that she had to turn that way. Where was the support, right? So I think we have to do better, you know, as a community. I think we need to do better as leaders. I think we have to do better as a society, you know, where again, we're just not focused on people's gifts, but we're actually focused on their soul. We're actually focused on their healing. We're actually focused on their assignment. We're focused on them getting to where it is they need to be, you know? Yeah, because at that point, everything was about her gift, you know, the gift, right? But in the meantime, behind that gift, behind the medals, behind the breaking records, this child was suffering.
Exactly. Mm-hmm.
You know?
Yeah.
This child was suffering.
So on an individual level, it's like we each have to do our own part, you know, offering different outlets. How did you get through this and not just overlooking the fact that people are talented, the fact that people are gifted, you know? Everybody has a real life behind the scenes and they're going through things. And so that's where having good company and making sure those people are placed around you comes in. You know, we were talking about, I know Cynthia was talking about Floyd Mayweather last week, and, you know, how he positions people around him so that he can be this great athlete. And so certainly, you know, we got to make sure those point people are there, because it's not always going to be ups, even if it looks like it's ups on Instagram all the time. Sometimes we're going through dark things behind the scenes that nobody knows about. And to stay up in these elevated places, you know, the enemy doesn't want us to soar. And so any way that he can fill these voids with the wrong things, you know, he's going to try to do that. He's going to try to convince us that this is a better way to handle things. So with the proper outlets, with the right people around us, and learning that, you know, when you're younger and even when you're older, you know, putting those people in the right position, making sure that they are there, that you got wise counsel around you, the right friendships, you know, people that understand the behind the scenes and not just the glory of what you're going through, that will help you stay up.
Yeah. And also, you know, I'm glad you brought them up, because I was just like, man, just thinking to myself, I was like, dang, why she wasn't with the money team? Like, at least with the money team, with Mayweather, though, the money team, like maybe somebody could have told her and schooled her. Like, we have to make sure, like, when we get to a certain place in life and we've accomplished things, you know, even coming from the hood, we have to make sure we reach back. You know, and I know sometimes like this generation is different, right? They're different. They're a little different. And I can understand why. Like, you know, there's a lot of wrongs and a lot of misinformation and a lot of things that the older generation has done that, you know, has affected the younger generation. You understand what I'm saying? Like, it's probably our fault. We can't just be like, oh, they just wild and they're crazy. Like, they only do what they've seen us do, or they've seen the older generation teach them. Like, you understand what I'm saying? Like, we have to take accountability, you know, for what's happening. You understand what I'm saying? Like, you know, we were the grandparents and the parents of them, right? You know, so I just really wish that we got to do better. You know, we have to do better, and definitely, like you said, Chris, like having the right people around you. And one thing I can tell you, like anybody that's listening, you know, if you're an athlete, you're young, or if you have a child, you know, that has a promising future, you know, and you see they have this amazing gift, like, you know, start talking to them now about certain things. You understand what I'm saying? Start introducing them to different resources so they could see that there's a better way. That they don't have to lean on, you know, marijuana. They don't have to lean on, you know, doing any type of vaping and pills and, you understand what I'm saying? Alcohol, like sex. You know, like,
yeah,
people deal with hurt in different ways. Everybody doesn't. Some people lean to substances. Some people lean to stealing. Some people lean to, getting on the streets and just doing all types of stuff. You understand what I'm saying? Like, hurt people hurt people.
Yeah. If anything, this exemplifies our need to provide those behind us with, I was about to say young people, but I'm a young person. Those behind us with better outlets. Everybody's not going to listen, but at least throw your hand out. At least offer them a different way. If it's really heavy on your heart, all that's going on in the world, and you seeing the Gen Z, you seeing us millennials go through things, where's your nonprofit? Put it into practice and get these things. So don't let them burden you so much that, you walking around mad, because that's not getting anything done. That's not helping anybody's mindset to come to a place where the world comes to a better place. If you have an idea, if there's some type of movement that you have in mind, I feel like somebody on here got a movement in them. You haven't put it into practice. You're supposed to be helping young people with their ideas, producing films in some type of way, and you have yet to put that into motion. Set it in motion. Do what you're supposed to do to help these people who are obviously suffering at very elevated places. They're suffering. What you have to do is be the change that you want to see. Pour into them and see what God will do through you.
Yes. And, just as it's saying a word in Mark 8:36, it says, "For what shall it profit a man if he shall gain the world and lose his own soul?" Mm-hmm. You're so gifted. You're so talented. You have the ability to create wealth and all this stuff. But if your soul ain't right, if you're broken, like, what is it going to profit you if you don't understand that the source is God, right? Because guess what? When you take a hit of God, you understand what I'm saying? There's not going to be no falling. There's not going to be no mistake or catastrophe. There's not going to be any missed opportunities. You understand what I'm saying? Like, he needs to be our drug. Yeah. Because he is the only one that's going to be able to fill those voids. Mm-hmm. That's going to be able to heal that broken place. That's going to be able to get us back to where we need to be, right? Because he knows us. He knew us from when we was in our mother's womb. You understand what I'm saying? So you have to be able to rely on him, because let me tell you, one thing about, self-medicating by way of substances, sex, money, there's so many different addictions. People think, when people are hurting and there's some type of abuse and things like that people only run to like marijuana or drinking. No, there's people that run to, murdering. There's people that run to molestation. They start molesting people. There are people that run to, drug dealing. You understand what I'm saying? People that run to robbing, and getting over on people, manipulation. It's so many different things. Sex. You understand what I'm saying? So many different things. But one thing I could tell you, even with all that, when it's said and done, you get that hit, you get whatever it is, and you feel relieved for the moment. But once that high releases, you're in the same reality. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Nothing has changed.
Exactly.
Nothing has changed. So, we definitely have to, do better so that way our young people can understand, like, they can understand their greatness. Right. They can be disciplined, to the point where it's just like, let me tell you, and I'm going to keep talking about him, like Floyd Mayweather, I'm pretty sure he made mistakes and different things, but his discipline is like another level.
Right.
You know, just coming from where we come from, coming from that poverty mindset, you know, just kind of seeing what we saw, you know, growing up in the hood with the cars, the fast money. You understand what I'm saying? It's like you have to understand your gift.
Mm-hmm.
And you also have to understand your journey, your story, and you have to protect your gift at all costs, because people, let me tell you, people will pimp your gift out and not care about your soul.
Look,
They will pimp it out.
That's a word.
You know, because I mean, it bothers me the fact that her gift was good enough. You understand what I'm saying? To bring the endorsements, the money to the Olympics and the teams or whatever it was. And as soon as she made a mistake, it's, oh, there's a suspension, there's a, you know, a falling away, right? You know, and it's just like, okay, what about that baby's soul? What about her hurt? What about her healing? What about you telling her, regardless of the mistake, regardless of what she did, she is still God's child. She is still wonderfully made. She still has a purpose. She's still great. You know? I mean, yeah. Guys, you have,
There's a lot to uncover there, but you know, I hate to see what's going on, and I think it points to so many different areas of people's lives where you have to patrol how you handle grief, how you handle what your emotional response is to the different things that we have to go through in life. You know, what is your first response to going through traumatic events, losing someone? Think about ways that you handle these things and try to reform and renew your mind to the way the Lord would have you handle it. You know, are you set on that path where you are consistently reading what God has told you to read, the word, you know, being inspired and making sure that you stay in faith as much as you lean towards these other vices, you know, much as you lean towards drinking? Or is there so much of an imbalance there that one slip and you all the way, you 6 bottles in one day, you know what I'm saying? There has to be something that sparks your interest to say, I got to handle things differently. I got to make sure that I stay on top of my game, because this is something that Floyd Mayweather obviously knows, you know. They are looking to take you down. They're looking to knock you off your block. They're looking to knock you off the pedestal. So anything that they can do to keep you from moving forward, keep you from moving the race forward, to keep you from doing as best, they're going to try to pull you back. Even if this is something from your old life, your old friends texting you, your old friends calling you, can you do this with me? You want to hang out? Ignore that. You got to move forward with who God chooses for you to soar with. You got to let go of people sometimes. You got to move forward in a different way and renew your mind against the things that try to keep you from doing your best and being the best that God has for you.
Yes. And those friends, listen, we have to be careful with who we call friends. We have to be careful of that. You know, we have to make sure that we have people around us that understand not our past, but they can actually see our future.
Right.
And they're going to surround us and make sure that we get to our destination. You know, we have to do that for each other.
Mm-hmm.
You know, we have to. We have to have people around us where they see us taking a wrong path. They'll tap us on the shoulder and say, sister, no, this way.
Exactly.
Brother, no, this way.
Mm-hmm.
You know, and sometimes we need to have those people in our lives that even when we are disobedient, because remember, we're hurt. So sometimes we're not always receptive to help, but God still knows, and he will still have there's a remnant of people that's crazy enough to still come and snatch you.
Right.
You understand what I'm saying? Like,
Yes, Nash.
we yes, you know, we don't go through stuff just because. You
Right.
know, everybody has different levels of warfare and different trials and tribulations. And you didn't go through crazy stuff just because. You went through crazy stuff because you're meant to go back and grab somebody from that crazy.
But
You
yes,
understand what I'm saying?
yes.
Like for me, I probably can't go and minister really. I mean, I can. I could probably go to the strip club and minister to the girls, but guess what? It's going to be another young lady that lived that life that's going to be able to go back to that strip club and actually pull those girls out. Why? Because she's relatable and they're going to be able to see that she's got through it. You know,
Yeah.
so we got to stop being quiet about the things that we've overcome and things we went through, because we went through it. So that way, when that young lady or that young man comes across us, they'll be able to see the living testimony by us living and breathing and free from that life of bondage.
Yes.
You know?
Yeah. Everybody has a story. You know, everybody has had some type of vice. Even if somebody listening and your vice is you work too hard, you do too much, you distract yourself through social media, you do in order to not deal. And so you got to recognize that within yourself. You got to make sure that you are getting with God. You know, Lord, just help me to rest. Help me to do what it is that you need for me to do so that I can be at tip top shape. So the enemy can't knock me on my block. He can't tell me, you know, he can't lead me astray, because every day I'm spending that time with you. Every day I'm making sure that I'm listening. I'm getting my instructions from you so that you can lead me on the right path.
Yeah. You know, and again, we just have to be careful with the things that God has put on the inside of us. You know, and you have to be able to discern as well. And that's why anyone, you know, that's listening, you dealt with some things, you have a promising future, you know, there's some things that God is doing with you, and you're in your winning season. Be very careful, you know, be very careful to make sure, again, that you protect the gift, you protect what God put on the inside of you, you know. And if you're gonna have people approach, right? Because it's the God on the inside of you that's attracted people, right? He put that gift in you.
Yeah.
So that light from that gift is shining, right? And it attracts the good and it attracts the bad,
Yeah.
you know? But I want to even tell athletes, you know, musicians, creatives, all of you guys, all of God's children, right? You have a great gift or something. You want to make sure, like, even the people that you're listening to, like, you have to test them. You understand what I'm saying? Like, do they only want me because of the gift? You understand what I'm saying? Like, what are they offering for my soul? What are they offering that I could pass on to my children? What are they offering me, you know, peace-wise? Like, is it always just about my gift? Do they even ask how I'm doing? You understand what I'm saying? Do they spend time with me outside of my gift and me, you know, running for them, or me singing for them, or me playing for them, right? Yeah. You know, it's just so, I just feel so bad at times for athletes, because, you know, just when you just look at the news overall, from basketball, football, mainly basketball and football, right? It hasn't been a whole lot when it comes to those who run track. But you see a lot of men that are so gifted. They're making these millions, but they're so broken. Mm-hmm. Their families are broken. Mm-hmm. And you get what I'm saying? And next thing you know, you're seeing them commit suicide, or you're seeing them caught on TV abusing their wives, or you're hearing about a scandal with steroids and different. It's like, what is going on? Like, is anybody taking care of these men?
Yeah, and
not the gift, but the men.
Yeah,
right?
Yeah, there's a person behind that gift. And that's something we have to recognize that within our own selves, in our own individual lives. I'm not just a person who produces designs and things like that. I'm a person who has a family. You know what I'm saying? I have different things that I'm concerned with. I'm a person or you're a person who, you have different sensitivities. You have things that bother you. And these things are coming at you on a day-to-day basis. The enemy doesn't stop just because you got a gift. And so you got to be mindful of what your specific vices are. And this is the way that we can stay away from addiction. Because in the pattern of addiction, your mind is leaning towards what is easiest. What's the instant gratification I can have to make me feel better in this moment, rather than necessarily confronting that or healing it or taking the steps to breathe through it, or not even recognizing that healing is every day. Somebody says something to you, can bother you for the whole week, but did you handle it? You have to be in scripture to heal your mind, keep your body together, keep your mind fixed on what God has told you to stay on the right path. And that's something that we have to do. We each have to do it every day. If not, we can veer off into these different addictions. We can veer off into drinking, to smoking, to sex, to even music that ain't feeding us the right things. And so you have to think about it on an everyday, not just when things blow up.
Yeah. Because that temporary pleasure, that temporary relief can lead to eternal loss. Exactly. And eternal brokenness, and to think about it, and I don't mean to get too deep on you guys, but a lot of people don't realize that children pay for their father's mistakes. Mm-hmm. It's biblical, right? So when we're self-medicated and we're running away from things, it could create something generational that we don't even know.
Right.
And now that's going down to your bloodline.
Yes.
And years later, you're trying to figure out why your child is acting up. You're trying to figure out why your child is this, not realizing, when I was this age, I started leaning to this, and now I've opened the door for this generational curse to come upon me, right? To pass down to my children. It all starts at home.
Yes.
It all starts at home.
Mm-hmm.
Whether it was an uncle or aunt, somebody, it goes down the family line. You understand? It's coming from somewhere, and we just have to make sure again that we protect ourselves and we really seek help outside of substances. So what I would say, because I know a lot of times when you deal with hurt, you deal with rejection, you deal with trauma, sometimes you lead to certain things, and sometimes people lead to their gifts. But be careful with that. Be very careful with that, because that gift can get you to a place so high that when temptation comes, it will look like an opportunity.
Ooh.
Right? You have to be very careful.
Yeah. You'll ignore
your gifts. Because it's different levels.
Oh yeah.
It's different levels. You understand what I'm saying? And when you get to those higher levels, and you don't have discernment, and you're not sober,
look, okay,
you're not going to be able to discern.
They ready to hand, okay. They're ready to hand things out to you when you get out there. They got it. They got the money. They got everything that you need. Okay. So when you go up, it's always available to you. That's why you have to listen to the Holy Spirit as you move through these circles.
But again, even with this situation with Sha'Carri, the scripture that comes to me is Jeremiah 29:11. where it says, "For I know the thoughts that I think towards you, said the Lord, thoughts of peace and not of evil, to give you an expected end." So even in this situation of what's happening, like, God still has a plan for her.
Yeah.
He still has an expected end for her. And I feel like this right here is going to be an example and a light for other girls coming behind her, because now they're going to be able to see, okay, I can get support, I can get therapy, I can get help. I don't have to turn to a substance. I don't have to turn to this, because I see what Sha'Carri went through.
Yeah.
So now I can learn and not have to go through what she went through. You understand what I'm saying? So it's like, even in our mistakes, our failures, God would turn that thing around for the good, to glorify him and to help others. Because I really believe, like, you know, this is going to help other young women. And I know for her, she probably don't feel that way, like, at this time, you know, but her vulnerability, even share her story, even coming out afterwards and just being honest about it, I think it's really going to help other girls coming behind her. You know, I don't think this is going to be the end for her. This is only beginning for that baby. This is only the beginning for her.
I mean, I think she's being used regardless, you know, whether it's to raise awareness of, you know, therapy, you know, or, you know, just helping other people stay on the right track to get the help they need, or whatever it is. But I think it serves as a wake-up call for a lot of people in a lot of different ways, in a lot of different areas. So it's time to look at the way that you handle things, you know, when things don't go your way, or, you know, when trials happen, how do you handle things? Is it possible that, you know, God will raise you up and you will not know how to handle it, because all you know how to do is train your gift. You focus so much on your gifts, how you speak, how you look when you're out there, but behind the scenes, when it comes to your personal life, you don't know how to deal with it. And so that's one of the ways that the enemy can steal from us, is not having a good balance within our lives.
Girl, and let me tell you, all I kept hearing while you was talking is, don't train your gift and untreat your wounds.
You
got to treat your wounds. Yes. That's the new model, guys. Going into finishing out 2020, going into 2021, y'all know, y'all heard it on the Williams-Bey Radio Show. Listen, I'm not going to train my gift and not treat my wounds.
Say that.
Train your gift, treat your wounds. Your gift, treat your wounds. You hear what I'm saying? You have to treat your wounds. You can't just train your gift and not treat your wound.
Yeah.
You know? So sis, let's give them some tangible things that they could do. You know, if they're dealing with any type of trauma, and they're gifted, and they kind of lean on that gift to get what it is they need, you know, some things that they could do. You know, the first thing I would say to do, like, if you're dealing with trauma, you're gifted, and you just have some things that you're trying to deal with, and you've been finding yourself running to substances, running to sex, running to, you know, doing things you're not supposed to do, you know. And when I say not supposed to do, I mean, it's damaging for you, or it's damaging for your legacy or your family. It can have some detrimental consequences. Look, I'm getting all tongue-tied, but, you know, I would say, you know, first things first, like, okay, we all know therapy, and then again, all of us don't, right? Because of this situation. But I would say, like, try to write, you know, write down what you're feeling, because a lot of us deal with the trauma and we go to substances because we haven't told anybody what happened. A lot of you are holding that stuff in.
Mm-hmm.
You're not ready for counseling. You're not ready to tell your family, your mom, your father what happened to you. So write it, journal, get that stuff out. Because the enemy wants you to keep it bottled up so it can eat you from the inside out.
Yes.
So I would say start writing. Write down what happened. Write down your hurt. Write down your mistakes. Like, write down what it is on the inside of you that's causing you to run to substances. Write it down.
Yeah. And then on top of that, I love the writing. I was going to say that as well. But rest. In the resting, in the stillness, sometimes we're afraid of our own thoughts, but you got to sit in it and you got to let God speak to you. Even if he uses another person around the corner, as you're walking, to take some stillness, to take some time with the Holy Spirit, to allow him to minister to you, to untangle your thoughts and dissolve what you think about a situation in order for him to be able to use you at a greater magnitude. Because now I understand why I had to go through what I went through. There's a purpose in it. That knowing that there's a purpose for what you've been through is incredibly healing.
Yeah. And the lack of rest leads to anxiousness.
Yes.
It leads to you not having clarity, mm-hmm. and not properly thinking and making wrong decisions. So the enemy doesn't want you to be restful, because when you're restful, you're operating at a different level.
Right.
When you're restful, you could be sober minded and you can make better calculated decisions.
Exactly.
Opposed to hasty, anxious decisions, right? He tells us not to be anxious for anything, right? And in that rested, what does the word say? It says, the Lord is my shepherd, I shall not want. He makes me lie down in green pastures. If you're lying down, that means you're rested in something. Mm-hmm. He leads you beside the still waters. And resting, guess what else he's going to do? He's going to restore your soul. He's going to lead you in paths of righteousness for his name's sake. So you have to make sure you're getting that rest. You have to make sure that you're getting that time alone, because you don't want to be all over the place. You don't want to be anxious. You don't want to be making swift decisions.
Yeah.
You have to be able to really think and process. That's another thing. If you're not resting, you're not able to properly process what's happening, and in that rest, you'll really be able to process what happened to you, but you're staying busy because you're afraid of the process.
That's good.
You got to go through that process, because the process is going to lead to that healing that needs to take place,
And that's what you're going to need in order to not pile on trauma, to not pile on the bitterness of so many experiences that we each have our own trials in life at different magnitudes and different levels throughout our lives. But you can't go day to day not healing, because that's when it does not go away, because you do not confront it. And so you got to be clear so that you can hear. You can't use distracting yourself as a mechanism and think that you are resting. Okay. So if you are scrolling on social media and you think that is rest, that is the biggest lie that I'm hearing around.
Yes. And like you said, you have to rest. And I want to say that, the next thing that you do after you rest is, and you get that able to process everything. Next, you need to confront. You have to confront what it is that's holding you back. You have to confront the trauma. You have to confront what happened, and you confront by way of therapy. You could confront by way of actually telling someone or talking to that person. If it was someone in your family that did something to you, like, let that out. Don't let them think that it's okay. Don't allow them to go to their next victim. You understand what I'm saying? Like, confront. and say something, because sometimes people are hurt us and they don't even know it.
Yeah.
You know, and it's not always by hurt by way of physical, but sometimes it's, you know, by the way people talk to us. They affect our self-esteem. You understand what I'm saying? Like, it could be verbal abuse. It's just different things. But, you know, even down to the fact, like, I know, like, with some kids, you know, it affects them. Like, if their dad have multiple partners, or their mom have multiple partners, and different things like that, or this person disciplined me. 1 minute it was this person, next minute it was that person. You understand what I'm saying? So you have to confront, you know, so that way, whoever it is that inflicted this trauma and this pain and this hurt on you, because it don't just come from nowhere. We don't just have traumatic experiences just because. Usually it's someone in our environment that exposed us to something that caused us to deal with what we're dealing with, you know, and sometimes it's not always purposely. You know, I know single mothers that have left their children with boyfriends or relatives because they was literally just trying to go to work. So essentially, you know, they're single mothers who honestly was just trying to make a living and go to work to provide for their children. And they left their children with someone that they trusted, a relative, a fiance. You understand what I'm saying? And all these years, they're figuring out their child is acting up in school. You're trying to figure out what happened, and, you know, come to find out somebody touched your child. You understand what I'm saying? But unless you confront your parent and let them know, like, Mom, this happened. Dad, this happened. They don't know. You understand what I'm saying? And sometimes, like, they could have, you know, done something back then to make that person pay for it, you know, but because we bottle things up and we don't confront it and we don't say anything, it's kind of like we're stopping our health. You understand what I'm saying? So we have to be in a position where we're able to confront situations. We're able to confront it head on. Stop running from it. You know, you're never going to be able to heal as long as you're running away. You understand what I'm saying? Like, don't run away. Confront that thing. Confront it, you know?
Yeah. And understand, this should have been my point number one, but understand you're not the only one. You know, if you don't have anybody at this certain time to express your grief, your concerns, whatever it is that you're going through, then go to God first. Go to God first, start there. That's what you should do anyway. You know, start there, write to him, tell him what you're going through, because he already knows the ins and outs and why. You got to build that relationship with him, and then he will use someone. He'll point you to someone that can push you through therapy, that has been through what you've gone through, that will help you heal and help you learn how to do it properly, do it his way, and grab this thing at the root so that you don't have all these things in life piling on top of you, weighing you down to where you have so much anger. You know, we are meant to overcome the things that we go through. So that means that God has a process already lined up. We just have to agree with it.
Yeah, so, you know, I just want to end the show, Chris, just kind of just recapping and just letting everybody know, like, anybody that's struggling with any type of addiction and, you know, you're really gifted and, you know, you're kind of like feeling like everything's about your gift, everything's about your gift, everything about your gift, and you don't feel like you have an outlet, you don't feel like you don't have any support, you don't have a place to actually heal and deal with some of the things that's burdening you on the inside. You know, again, like me and Chris said, you know, make sure you write, you know, make sure you write out what's happening with you, what happened to you, you know, because a lot of you are still holding things inside. You haven't really released anything and told anybody what's happened to you and why you're feeling the way you do. So write, journal, get it out. You don't want to keep that inside. Secondly, like my sister Chris said, you want to make sure you rest, because in resting, you will be able to actually process, what actually happened. You'll be able to allow God to restore you. You will allow God to be able to get what he needs to you, but you're not going to find that if you don't actually rest, because when you don't rest, again, you're going to be anxious. You're going to be making indecisive decisions, so you want to make sure, again, that you're resting. 3, you want to confront. You have to confront the trauma. You have to confront the root, the wounds. You have to confront the betrayal. You have to confront the traumatic experiences. You got to confront whatever it is that's keeping you from getting to wherever you are or where you're going. You have to confront it so that way you're not continuing to be pulled towards substances and things like that to give you a temporary fix. Because like we said, in this season, we're going to be treating our wounds instead of, training our gifts. Treat those wounds, and 4, like Chris said, you're not the only one. The enemy wants you to think you're the only one that has gone through or is going through what you went through. So you have to realize that, and you sharing your story and you releasing things, that there's going to be other people that are going to be healed, because again, you're not the only one, so you want to make sure you release that so that way you can heal and you can help others heal, and to my sister Shakari, and all of you out there that have experienced some type of failure publicly, I want you to understand that God can still use you, and I'll leave you guys with my quote. When the world counts you out, count yourself back in. It's time for you to come back, because guess what? My sister is going to come back. There's so many different individuals. Just look at Tiger Woods, right? What he went through. He had the scandal, right, sis? He had the scandal. He had the things he was going through. And people thought he was crazy for still believing in himself, for still understanding the gift that God put on the inside of him. They were laughing at him. They were saying, like, why is he here? Why is he doing this? And guess what? He won. He won the whole thing, and it left everybody's mouths dry. They couldn't even understand it. Like, it was so funny watching the news coverage, like, after he won, with everything that they were saying. So, allow God to allow you to come back. You understand what I'm saying? Like, you got to count yourself back in. It don't matter what the spectators are saying. It don't matter what the media is saying. It doesn't matter. You understand what I'm saying? Because you know who God created you to be. You understand what I'm saying? So you got to believe in yourself. You got to keep going. It's so many people I could mention that had a comeback, and I'm sorry, but Remy Ma had a comeback. I mean, you're there, at the highlight, right? You know what I'm saying, of your career, making the records, and you get in there, then all of a sudden a mistake, something happens. She ends up in jail, and I'm not talking about a little bit. I'm talking about 8 years. You understand what I'm saying? And look, she didn't came back. It's like we didn't even know she was gone. Like, she came back, and she came back hard. You understand what I'm saying? Like, listen, failure, public falls, mistakes, listen, you can come back. You can come back from it. You want to leave them with anything, sis?
Yeah, and I just taking all the points that we were, just speaking about and wrapping up here. It just, maintaining that understanding on an everyday basis, that also is going to help your anxiety. And by helping your anxiety and treating yourself every day, in treating yourself by going to God with your concerns, your issues, developing your relationship with him, that's what's going to calm you down. That's what's going to help you maintain a healthy mindset, even when you're doubting things that are going on around you. Go to God, because some of these issues that come up in our lives, they are designed to point us to God. And so if we understand that and go to God and ask him, what am I supposed to learn through this? What do you want to do? Because I know you're a redeemer. You say that in your word. I know that is true. Come to God, and remind him of who he is, and ask him to use you. Use your mistakes, use all of your mess, and turn it into a message for somebody else.
Amen. Amen. And on that note, we're going to end it there. Thank you guys so much for tuning in. And just remember, when the world counts you out, count yourself back in. Again, you guys are listening to the Williams-Bey Radio Show here on 101.3 Rejoice FM 990 AM. And we will see you guys next week. And I need you to come back ready to embrace and be restored so you can spring forth into your destiny. Y'all have a great weekend.
Bye.
Thank you for tuning in to the Williams-Bey Radio Show. Please stay connected by following me on all social media at Mrs. Williams-Bey. For show sponsorship, questions, or to be a guest, please visit www.mrswilliamsbey.com.
If any artist want to be featured or to be a guest on the show, please submit your request and music to dreamprorba@gmail.com.
And remember to keep it clean and motivational. Remember to tune in every Friday at noon because it's time to embrace and be restored so you can spring forward into your purpose. Don't forget to catch us on Rejoice 101.3.
Yeah. Mrs. Williams-Bey in the afternoon. DJ Dre on the ones and twos. Faith and family is what we're gonna do. Yeah. Mrs. Williams-Bey in the afternoon. DJ Dre on the ones and twos. Faith and family is what we're gonna do.